What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Monday afternoon, and we're back already. Not too long after the Transfer View, this morning's show with Flex, myself, and KG, that comedian. I'm back because we've got some breaking news. Yes, breaking news coming in the last couple of minutes or so, courtesy of Fabrizio Romano, hello guys, has said that Marcus Rashford is very, very close to agreeing a brand new Manchester United contract. We're going to give you details on that. Plus, I guess it kind of spins off a report that was being reported earlier this morning as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So we've got plenty to get into in this quick lunchtime stream. Don't know if I'll be live for the full hour. We'll see what happens. We'll see what you guys say. I'm really interested to know what you guys think about this contract situation with Marcus Rashford, because I was just talking to Flex about it on the phone a few minutes or so ago. And I think this one's going to divide opinion a little bit. What doesn't nowadays? But I think in terms of the proposed salary and wage, that's really what's going to divide people and get people talking. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner as well. So if you haven't already, you can do that, subscribe, and also join the members club too. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members only content. I have seen actually in the last few days or so, if you see here, Kristen's a good example. You can't really see that on the screen that well because it's quite small. The point is that the people that have been members of the UV Members Club for 12 months have got their gold badges. Yes, gold badges are now out to people that have been subscribed or part of the Members Club for 12 months. A full year of support. The gold badges are out. So yes, I'll be checking out in the chat. I can see it. Those people that have been members for 12 months. Jason's another one I think there. That's a gold badge. Gold badge. Oh, incredible stuff. So there you go. Yes, we are here to talk about Marcus Rashford. Some breaking news, as I mentioned, coming in the last few minutes from Fabrizio Romano, who's dropped an exclusive, has said that Manchester United are on the verge of reaching an agreement with Marcus Rashford over a new long-term deal. He's set to accept the proposal. Negotiations at the final stages. Rashford is very happy with Erik ten Hag. Final details to be sorted soon. Here we go is coming soon. So not here we go just yet, but here we go soon, which basically means it's going to happen. Marcus Rashford is indeed going to sign a brand new long-term Manchester United contract. He's set to accept the current proposal on the table. These negotiations, as I mentioned, are at the final stages. Rashford's happy, Ten Hag's happy. Rashford's going to sign a new deal. Now, as far as actual details surrounding this deal, Romano hasn't completely explained what those details are. Now, there was a report this morning that comes from The Sun. Gross. But they've said, and it was Phil Thomas from The Sun, again, gross, has spoken about how much this new contract could be worth. Now, certainly it does have some credibility to it in the sense of this report went out this morning, and now Romano is essentially parroting what was said here, but not in terms of the actual wage structure itself. So the report this morning suggested that Marcus Rashford will become Manchester United's top earner with a new £375,000 a week deal. And United plan to fund the near double your money hike through a salary swap with goalkeeper David De Gea. Now, we are going to talk a bit more about David De Gea later today in this evening's video about those reports that have come out from Samuel Lutkers from the Manchester Evening News, suggesting that United have made it a priority to sign a new first-team goalkeeper this summer, with the indication being that David De Gea could be set to leave United this summer as well. Now, as far as his current contract, Marcus Rashford, he earns a basic £200,000 a week salary and has another year left on his deal after the club triggered their 12-month option to extend. Meanwhile, De Gea, he's 32. He already earns the amount being offered to the striker, but is now currently or will be out of contract soon. As I mentioned, we will talk about De Gea later on. But as far as Marcus Rashford, the proposed salary, according to The Sun, again, gross, is saying that it's going to be £375,000 a week, but Romano hasn't gone as far to say that, but he is saying that Rashford is on the verge of agreeing a new contract with Manchester United, and this would be a long-term deal. Now, the question is, how do people feel about that? I'm going to try and break this down as best as I can. My feelings on it, then I'll get your feelings on it. We'll get your comments up on the screen as always. So, new contract with Marcus Rashford. tick. Of course, I'm very happy with that. He deserves a new contract. He's got 12 months left on his contract, on his current deal. So we need to get it done this year. He's had an excellent season, was our top goal scorer, was player of the season, was players' player of the season. You cannot argue that Marcus Rashford was our player of the year this year. He's been excellent. Again, without him, we'd have been in a lot of trouble. Without having a striker pretty much all season because Anthony Martial was injured and Cristiano Ronaldo left, Marcus Rashford had to step into that role on several occasions. And without Rashford's goals, we don't get third place in the Premier League, we don't win the Carabao Cup, and we don't get to the final of the FA Cup. Marcus Rashford was absolutely instrumental in that. He absolutely deserves a new contract. No problem with that. No problem with that whatsoever. The issue is, and I think it's the biggest sort of standout in this discussion here, and I think this is the part that is going to divide people and will prove to be divisive, is £375,000 a week. That's the issue. Now, again, that has not been confirmed. That must be pointed out here. That's the Sun saying that. That's not Fabrizio Romano saying 375k a week. So we'll have to wait and see those finer details. Hypothetically, if it is £375,000 a week, Manchester United just will not learn their lesson when it comes to that. This is why when those reports came out, when were they, last year, and people were talking about Eric Ten Hag and John Murtough wants to introduce a wage structure to Manchester United and no player wants to be above £200,000 a week. That's why we laughed. I remember doing a video with Flex about it, and we laughed because we said, so no one's going to get a wage above £200,000 a week. There are already several people above that wage, and we know that people are going to break that wage structure immediately. Marcus Rashford's already on 200, so, and it's almost a case of trying to deal with the sins of the past because, of course, he's going to want an improvement on his contract, so he's going to want more than 200. Okay, but 375, we're talking there about being up there with some of the highest paid players in the Premier League. And is Marcus Rashford on their level? And factually, the answer is no, it's not. He's not on that level. He's not. If we got a wage of, let's say, £275,000 a week, 250, then you would go, okay, that's good business. And Marcus Rashford had a fantastic season last season, no doubt about it. But let's be honest too, towards the end of the season, was Marcus Rashford at his best? He was not at his best. Towards the end of last season, he wasn't. For, let's say, the sort of 2-month period towards the end there, was he at his best? No, I don't think he was. And is there any guarantee that Marcus Rashford is going to be on the form that he was this season, next season? No, it's not. For me, to be earning that level, that 375, that 375 number, you've had to really prove it over a long period of time. Again, it must be stress. That's the Sun saying that, so we don't know. What we do know is what Romano is saying, that he's on the verge of accepting this contract. If it was 375k on the table, I would accept that too, knowing that, I had the best season of my career, because he has, in terms of from a personal point of view and goal scoring numbers. But I think he would also know that I thought I was going to maybe have to prove myself a little bit more than that. My concern by seeing those numbers, if indeed they are true, is have United learnt their lesson when it comes to that? And for all this talk about getting David De Gea off the books because his wage is so high, and then you replace him with someone else for a similar wage, again, that's debatable. You would go, what are we doing in that instance? What have we learned in that instance? Nothing, really. And that's a worry of mine. I have no issue with Marcus Rashford getting a new contract. I want him to stay. He deserves an improvement on what he's currently got because he had a good season and we should tie him down. But 375, that's, to me, I don't know if that represents good value for money, honestly. And we'll see what you guys think in just a second. Got a super chat here from Ray Carl Brown. Says, for me, I don't care about his wage because someone else will pay him. Then we lose a lot of goals and what he brings to the team. Well, I slightly disagree with that because this is the point that some United fans will make is, would Marcus Rashford get £375,000 a week anywhere else? And I think the answer is probably no. I mean, would he get that at any other club in the Premier League? No. Would he even get that if he went to PSG? I don't think he would, honestly. For me, just instinct, initial reaction is that feels like a lot. That feels like we're overpaying to keep him there. And I look at those people that are doing those negotiations and saying, how have you arrived at that number, honestly? Because that feels ridiculous. And again, I'm all for tying our best players down, but that seems like a stretch. But as I mentioned, that's coming from a source that isn't totally reputable, and we'll have to wait and see for that. The issue also is, let's face it again, is that he's already on a big wage. This is how backwards Manchester United can be when it comes to contracts and salaries and transfer fees, is that in an ideal world, Marcus Rashford currently would be on, I don't know, like 150, 175, something like that. And then you'd negotiate this contract, and Gary O'Neill got sacked by Bournemouth. Jesus. I did not expect that. Because they're moving ruthless. Phew. Gary O'Neill got sacked by Bournemouth. How harsh is that? No one thought Bournemouth were going to stay up. They even did a post about it, going, all you people that laughed at us for staying up, we stayed up, They sacked him. Fucking hell. Wow, I'm really surprised by that. They must have someone lined up, and I really sympathise with Gary O'Neill about that. That's ridiculous. Wow. Who do they even bring in? I tell you what, it depends who they bring in, obviously, but if they bring in someone, I don't even know if anyone could do a job that Gary O'Neill did at Bournemouth last season. Because you look at their team ain't good. It's not, But wow. And if they do go down next season, you go, tell you what, that's deserved. That's on you. Because you had a guy that kept you up when nobody thought you would. And, wow. Very surprised by that. Very, very surprised. Yeah, that's stunned me. I'm shocked. I'm taken aback. But yes, getting back to Marcus Rashford as well. Actually, let's get a poll in the chat. This is what's fun about these solo streams, is I'm fully in control. I don't know why I'm capital letters, I'm screaming. Is Marcus Rashford worth 375k a week? And again, this is going by reports, not what Romano is saying. Poll is in the chat. In the chat. The question is Marcus Rashford worth 375k a week? I already kind of think I know what the answer would be, honestly. Maybe that's not the best poll to put in, actually. Maybe I should do a third option, and the third option should be I don't care. Because that's what some people will say when it comes to this. Some people say, and this is what happens when we talk about transfers and all that kind of stuff as well, is we talk about transfer fees and budgets and all that kind of stuff. And some people say, look, Owen, I don't care. I don't care about the money as long as we have our best players at the club and as long as we bring the players in. It's not my money, so I don't care. But for me, I kind of push back on that and I say, well, I think you should care because these things have knock-on effects. They do. When we're talking about budgets and we're talking about bringing players in and we just don't have the money to tie this person down, or we just don't have the money to bring this player in, or this will affect future contract negotiations as well. The same way that when people have been negotiating their contracts with Manchester United previously, they point to David De Gea. They do, and they say, wait a minute. This guy's on 375k a week. Why am I not on that amount? I feel like I'm better than him. Or I feel like I bring more to the team than he does. I'm an international player. This guy don't really play for his country anymore. He's not internationally retired, but he doesn't get picked. And I feel like I'm more important. Why don't I get a similar amount to him? And I'm not saying that's what Marcus Rashford said in this instance, but I think his agent would be perfectly valid in asking that question and saying, why is he on that amount and I'm not? That doesn't seem particularly fair. And that's always what they're looking for. They're always looking for fair. And now other players that come to United, and we're trying to sign players in this transfer window, they might look at Marcus Rashford and say, hey, why is he on 375k a week? Why can't I be on that? Harry Kane's not happening this summer, yeah? But next summer, when he's a free agent, who's to say that Harry Kane's agent doesn't look at a Marcus Rashford and his wage and go, I'm better than Marcus Rashford. I'm going to be more important to your team than Marcus Rashford is, and I deserve to be on the exact same amount or more. That's the problem. That's going to be an issue. It is. And going up was it 175k a week because he's currently on 200, adding an extra 175k on, that's got to come out somewhere. That's got to come out of some kind of budget. What's that going to mean now for a striker this summer? What's that going to mean for a goalkeeper or a midfielder? We know the budget's tight anyway. Now, again, I don't know if you saw me and Flex trying to do maths the other day, but, you know, it just, for me, it seems like a lot. It really does. And again, that's not to say that I don't want Marcus Rashford to stay, because clearly I do. But this was people's concern, wasn't it, I think? And to be fair, I credit those people that were saying it throughout the season, where they were saying, that's great, Rashford, we want him to stay, but let's not let one good season get too far ahead of ourselves. And, you know, some could argue it wasn't even the total season. It was a patch of football from what? Sort of November-ish time to March, April. And then he got injured. When he got injured against Everton, and then once he came back after that, he wasn't really the same, let's face it. And I thought the last few games of the season that Rashford played, I didn't think he looked fully fit. I was still questioning if he'd come back too soon or too quickly, because he didn't look the same Marcus Rashford that was playing earlier on in the season. Make no mistake, Marcus Rashford in January and February was unplayable. He went to the new camp and he ripped Barcelona apart. That goal he gets where... Is it the own goal where he skips past a couple of players? He was brilliant. Oh, he scored as well, didn't he? He was unbelievable in January, February of this year. But does that equate to getting 375k a week? You know, that to me is a reach in terms of the wages. And for all of that talk, as I mentioned, about the reports coming out last year about Ten Hag wants to get a handle over the wage structure, this is not evidence of that. Honestly, that's not evidence of that. And I am happy that he's staying, because I think we should be in the business of keeping our best players. But that just, to me, I just see issues. I see issues coming from that in the future, particularly when it comes to negotiating new deals and bringing in new players, because they will always point to that. Any player, when it comes to a transfer, will always point to the highest paid player at the club and say, I feel like I'm worth this amount. They will base it upon that. Even if they think that I can't ask for 375k because I'm not on the level of a Marcus Rashford, they'll still look to that and they'll judge it based off that. And I think it will lead to problems. I do. In terms of the poll, it's only been in there for about 5 minutes. Already we've got nearly 250 votes. The question was, is Marcus Rashford worth £375,000 a week? And the poll, I suppose not surprisingly, no is 70% and yes is 30%. We also have a super chat, and then I'll look at some member comments actually. All Elite with the super chat says, Rashford is the captain of Moments FC. Need better. Well, again, I don't even necessarily think we need better than Rashford. I think we would need players in addition to Rashford. My biggest issue is just the price. I think that's way too much for Marcus Rashford. Even going from 200, I understand you have to, you can only go up from that. I totally get that. But you go 250, 275, even 300, you go, that's pushing it. 300's pushing it, really. But 375 might as well be 400. That's a lot of money. And are we getting value for money? I know value for money in football nowadays doesn't exist, but this season, when De Gea and Jadon Sancho as well haven't been performing particularly well, we compare them. You compare them to other players on similar wages in the Premier League. David De Gea, isn't he like the second or third highest paid player in the Premier League? And you go, that's not value for money. Jadon Sancho, you do the same. You say, Jadon Sancho, he's one of the highest paid players in the Premier League. Is that value for money? No. And I don't blame Marcus Rashford. Don't mistake this either. I don't blame Marcus Rashford for this. If a club's willing to offer you whatever they're willing to offer you, you go, oh, of course I'm going to sign it. What's Marcus Rashford meant to do? Turn that down and say, no, thank you, I'm not worth that much? He and his agent must be like, I can't believe it. They gave us 375k. Brilliant. Sign it before they change their minds. It's not Marcus Rashford's fault. It's not. In the same way that it's not David De Gea's fault or Jadon Sancho's fault that United offered them that amount of money. And they take it. Absolutely, you take it. Every single person watching this would take it. We're not too proud enough. We're two big United fans who said, this is not good for the club. I'm going to turn that money down. Of course you don't do that. You take it. But at the same time, it's the people who are making those offers, sanctioning those offers, they need to have a look at themselves. John Murtough, Richard Arnold. They're the ones that need to look at themselves and say, really? We're doing 375. That's really the number we're going on. We've just decided that the goalkeeper that most likely is going to be departing this summer, David De Gea, that was a mistake. And we realised that it might have taken us a while to get there, but people have been pointing at that saying that's ridiculous, that's not value for money, and now we're doing it again. we're doing it again. And even if Marcus Rashford and his agent say to United, we want 375, it's upon United to say no. Let's work this out. Let's negotiate. We can get you to 375 via add-ons and by incentives if you score this amount of goals or you make this amount of appearances, or in 2 or 3 years' time it could rise to 375 once you've proved yourself. If you score this amount of goals over this period of time, we'll bump you up, absolutely, because you'd have deserved it by that point. But make them have something to work towards. That's the problem too. So I have an issue with that number, honestly. Let's see some of your member chats as well. Dwayne says De Bruyne is on 400k and is world class and has been for 3 or 4 years. Rashford has had good form for under 6 months in 2 to 3 years. Crazy. When FFP hits our future budgets, only us to blame. Al Mac, one of our members, says if Rashford is 375k a week, why do we need to get a top striker? Rashford should be Haaland or Mbappe at that price. We've got a super chat here. Damien says, is Rashi our most marketable player, though? Honestly, I think you make a good point. I know that fans won't want to hear that, but from a club point of view, they probably will. They'll say, look. But that's the problem too, isn't it? Is that we've had enough of, but they're commercially, they're very, very strong. And Marcus Rashford, from a commercial point of view, is very strong. The Marcus Rashford brand, of course, is very big. You see the attention he gets. I mean, he was on holiday, and people, and this is why I say the sun grows, because they would follow him around on holiday and seeing who he was spending time with and all that kind of stuff. Get a life, basically. Or people were criticising him. Marcus Rashford doing a book signing generated more attention than City doing a treble. It was crazy. I mean, with some of the stuff that was going on with him. So, of course, that probably plays a part in it. And I'm sure that his agents or his representatives have probably said that to Manchester United as well. They've probably, to these negotiations, have brought their numbers. This is what Marcus Rashford brings to you and all that kind of stuff. But we're talking about football. It should be about footballing decisions. And I'm sure that Erik ten Hag could give 2 shits about how many shirts Marcus Rashford sells. It would be about what he brings on the pitch and what kind of performances he's going to be bringing to the pitch as well. Make no mistake, Marcus Rashford's turnaround over the last 12 months has been staggering. This time last year, if you'd have said Marcus Rashford is going to sign a new deal with Man United and it's going to be 375k a week, there'd be a bigger outrage than there is right now. They'd have said, are you kidding me? Given what he had done last season, which was nothing, absolutely nothing. And then the turnaround that we saw from Rashford this season, for a period of time this season, was incredible. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody thought that was possible. But it took a while for Rashford to get there. Make no mistake with that either. Because I remember last season, on the pre-season tour of Thailand and Australia, Marcus Rashford still at that point was struggling with confidence. You could see it. At one point, I remember it was a second half, he played with all the kids and he wore the captain's armband because he was still struggling to get there. When we beat Liverpool, 4-0 in that game in Thailand, I don't know if Rashford scored that day. He might have. But you could just tell in those first few games, he was still struggling for confidence and it took him time. It wasn't really until... what we're going to say, maybe that the Liverpool game, or my biggest turning point for Rashford, I thought, this season was when we played Arsenal at home. And he played really well that day. He played really particularly well. And then after that, he really started to build up the confidence. And it was, going into the World Cup, because I disagreed with what Gareth Southgate said after the World Cup, where he said, if I hadn't have picked other players at the World Cup, you'd have been criticising me. Rashford was in form going into the World Cup. He was. And at the World Cup, he was in form then. And he came out of it and he was still just as good. And he got better and better and better and better and better. But it did stop. Because from sort of April to the end of the season, he wasn't at that level. And I can understand people that would say, was it just a purple patch? Is that can Marcus Rashford do that at a consistent level for a prolonged period of time? We still don't know. We don't. And does he deserve a new contract based off this season's performance? Yes, he does. There's no doubt about that. But it's just an overall concern, isn't it, about the wage structure? That's part of the problem. That's part of the issue, and that's part of the concern. Jayish says, absolutely ridiculous. A player that can't even be bothered to go into a 50-50 tackle on 350k, absolutely ridiculous. Is that referring to Jadon Sancho? I think that's Sancho's wage, isn't it? Or you're referring to Rashford's wage as well. Just a bit of an update on the poll as well. It's getting even more of a landslide at the moment. Now 12 minutes into it, we've had over 400 votes, and it's now at 72% or 71% saying no, Marcus Rashford is not worth £375,000 a week. Speaking of that, actually, and I know this is always the way, and I don't blame you guys. I blame YouTube for this, because if you're watching on like your phone or your tablet, when you click onto the live stream, the first thing you get greeted with is the poll, isn't it? And then to actually read what people are saying, you click something on the poll, you could get out of the way so I can see the comments. But there have been over 400 votes in the poll. As of right now, in terms of likes, only 125. Yeah, we've got over 700 people watching. I tell you what, if we could get 500 with 700 watching, I know that's a big ask. I understand that's a big ask. It's midday, 19th of June, impromptu stream. It's difficult. It's difficult, but I believe in you. So if you haven't already, let's see if we can do it. I mean, again, anything's possible. And anything's possible. That again, I know it's difficult. I know it's challenging. But hey, we'll see. As Ed says, more votes than likes. Disgrace, cheat. The problem is with that too is that I now go around saying that on just every day in general conversation. It's a problem, and people aren't always in on the joke. You know, the UV community is. But when you're just in everyday life and you go, oh, disgrace, cheat, they'll go, excuse me? Oh, sorry. It's something Ty said. Who? Dwayne says, when he reverts to 2021-2022 form, we now won't be able to sell him. We never learn, and you don't follow the Sancho mistake by doing it again. Kane now wants 500k and Mbappe 700. We need to push back. Al Mac says, how much would we pay Harry Kane? He looks at Sancho and Rashford and laughs. That is true, though. That's kind of, again, that's my point with that, is that we're talking about Harry Kane not being available this summer. Okay, fine. But at the same time, there will be a free-for-all for Harry Kane unless he signs a new contract at Spurs, which I don't think he will. But my feeling is that Harry Kane will leave Spurs on a free transfer next season. But that means that everyone's going to go in for him, and his agents would be absolutely right to look at the highest paid player at United in Marcus Rashford and go, we should have more than that. We deserve more than that. Facts. That is the case. I mean, people are talking about, you know, Kylian Mbappe, and I mean, look, football's timing. You never know if Sheikh Jassim is successful with his takeover. Look, it's football at the end of the day. Anything's possible. Never say never, because again, you never know. But if that one were to happen, and of course, even if it's a Qatari deal in the sense of he's going from one Qatari-owned club to another one, from PSG to United, look at the money he's already on at PSG. You don't think he looks at, I know he's on more than Rashford anyway. But, oh, my God. He'd be a highest paid player in the Premier League. He'd be asking for $1 million a week, probably more than that. And again, even Harry Kane would be looking at significantly more than Marcus Rashford, because Harry Kane, let's face it, if Harry Kane comes in at the end of next season, even though he'd be 30 coming into 31 at that point, free transfer, he would come in and he'd be like, will be the most important player in your team, because I will score 20 plus goals every single season. And I've proved it for a decade. Yeah. He would be saying, so minimum 400, 425, 425, 450. No doubt. And again, I think it makes it more challenging for us in the future. And I don't begrudge Rashford getting this wage. Good for him. And good for his agents being able to pull that off. But United just don't learn their lesson, do they? They just don't. And it's not even a case of, because I don't think, it's what happens if we want to sell Rashford in the future. I don't think United are going to get to that point where they're going to want to sell Marcus Rashford. If he underperforms next season, it's not going to be a case of, oh, he's going to be really difficult to sell. It's just going to be a point of, this guy ain't worth it in terms of the money that we've given him. We're having this conversation about Jadon Sancho. Like, we've got two players that we're having this conversation about at the moment, aren't we? We're having the conversation about De Gea, and let's face it, if he didn't have, as of today, like 10 days, 11 days left on his contract, he's going to still be on 200. We were going to try and negotiate him down to 200. We're still having the conversation about Jadon Sancho going, is he worth that? And again, it's not Sancho's fault. I've said that a million times this season. That's not Sancho's fault. It's United's fault for giving him that wage. Now, they gave him that wage because they thought he was going to be worth it, and he had a lot of hype coming from Borussia Dortmund, and he had more than one good season there. He had a couple of good seasons, and they thought that was worth giving that wage to him. Things can change very, very quickly. And again, it just feels like, United haven't learnt their lesson with that. And again, of course, I want Marcus Rashford to stay. Wayne's doing the whole, so should we have sold him? No, we shouldn't have sold him. We shouldn't. The point is that we shouldn't, again, if this number is accurate, 375k is a lot. And we shouldn't have given that. Or we should have tried to at least get him down to 300. Even that, I'd be like, I'll tell you what, 300, that's a lot. But the problem is, too, there's lots of other players that are on big contracts at United as well. And they all point at each other and look at each other and say, I want this, I want that. That's part of it, too. Ed, one of our members, says, in an ideal world, all contracts should have a set base salary and all increases, bonuses and add-ons will be performance-based. It's going to be interesting again with Rashford. One would think that, again, that 375, if that number's correct, then it would probably go down if we didn't get Champions League or anything like that. Again, we'll have to wait and see what other communication comes out from possibly United. I mean, if you are just joining us again, we've got 800 people watching, so we can definitely get 500 likes, by the way. If you are just joining us, Fabrizio Romano this lunchtime has tweeted an exclusive saying Manchester United are on the verge of reaching an agreement with Marcus Rashford over a new long-term deal. He's set to accept the proposal. Negotiations at the final stages. Rashford is very happy with Erik ten Hag. Final details to be sorted. Here we go soon. So not here we go yet, but here we go soon. It's also been reported earlier today, late last night, that's from The Sun, gross, that Marcus Rashford will become Manchester United's top earner with a new £375,000 a week deal. Now, in fairness, I don't know if they've said that that's going to be his base salary or if that's going to be all in. But when you tend to say those kind of, 375k a week, that would imply that it's his base salary. So again, but it's not coming from the most completely reliable source. So again, you never know. You never know. But at the same time, it's a little bit concerning. As far as other news, as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about David De Gea later on this evening. So we're going to park the goalkeeper debate and leave that for later on, because I think it's a debate, certainly, that lots of people are going to be talking about as well. Some other bits and pieces saying that Man United just want $2 million for Eric Bailly. That's coming from the Daily Mail. $2 million. $2 million. How much is Eric Bailly worth, do you think? Or is it at this stage just getting him off the wage book? I mean, he signed a new contract, Eric Bailly, in 2021. I think, was it a 5-year deal or something like that? We can get more than $2 million. Sure. In today's market, $2 million is essentially a free. Realistically, if you're not looking for $2 million, you might as well let him go on a free at that point. Is there really any difference? And I know you can't release him because you'd have to pay off his contract, but you might as well just say to people at that point, you can take Eric Bailly for nothing, because that's what it is. $2 million is nothing in today's market. I know, Owen, there's an energy crisis going on and inflation. I understand that. Yeah, inflation. $2 million for Eric Bailly. I mean, I know he's not really worth anything, but then just let him go on a free. $2 million. What's the point? Honestly. And he's another one. He's another one, though. 2021, signed a new contract. At the time, everyone went, why? Why? Why did we give him a new contract? I remember at the time, I was on United Stand at the time. And it was one of the first things I did was an Eric Bailly contract extension. And even then, everyone was like, what? What? Why? So, let him go. I mean, he's going to go anyway, but just crazy. I say, don't go on a free. 2 million. Oh, Manchester United transfer window. Draining, isn't it? Absolutely draining. I'm doing my best not to be negative. Also, some talking points as well from the Daily Mail saying that Manchester United's current budget means they can't buy a top striker as well as a top goalkeeper, particularly as they look to commit 50 million plus to a deal for Mason Mount. This transfer window plus this takeover saga. It's going to make me go bold or grey. I know I said that if we signed Kylian Mbappe and Harry Kane, by the end of next summer, I'd shave my hair. I'll shave my head, whatever. I'd go bold. I'd do a Ten Hag. I might be like that come the end of this transfer window anyway, honestly. With the takeover stuff and with this transfer window, it's all summer all over again, isn't it? It is. And it's going to be back and forth, back and forth. I mean, what players do you think we're going to get? I was talking to Flex about this on the phone. I still do think we'll get a striker. I think we'll get a goalkeeper and we'll get a midfielder. When, though? That's the question, really, isn't it? That's the big one. When are we going to get them? Are they going to be on tour? What was it, about a month to go till tour? And it's the takeover problems too as well, isn't it? That's the problem. It's just that's hanging all over it. It's just we've already started. Dwayne Rogers says, when Mount gets 200, 250k to sit on the bench, you know why? Well, to be honest, you do raise a good point, though. You raise a good point with that. His comment won't disappear. There you go. You raise a good point. Realistically, with Mason Mount, I mean, they said that personal terms and that were agreed with him, and it was just trying to figure out what the price was going to be between United and Chelsea. But even they would look at it and say, they're handing out big contracts. Let's see how much we can get. I mean, how much did he turn down at Chelsea? They offered him a new contract. Let's actually have a look. Mount, new Chelsea contract. How much did he turn? Do they say how much he turned down? Does it say? Can't see if they can see. I can't see a number. Mount is said to be after a wage similar to the reported £250,000 a week fellow England star Reece James earns after he signed a new 6-year contract. So Mount's looking for like 250. Fuck. And let's face it, if he's looking for 250 at Chelsea, that's 300 at United. You wanted 250 at Chelsea, 300. Why? Why not? Why not? OHB says, Owen, mate, you're literally 1 inch of hair away from having a 5 head. Don't diss the bald. What? I still got hair. Look. People always say that like I'm bald at the back. That's not. That's literally just because the way the hair goes. That's the lighting. I got hair. And KG's been saying to me that he's like, oh, mate, don't do it. Don't shave your head. And I go, why? He goes, it might not grow back. I'm confident. It'll grow back. No, I don't have a problem with it. My dad's bald. Baldness does run in the family. Eventually it's going to get there. I got a receding hairline. But I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of the baldness. No problem. And I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy to go bald. If we got Harry Kane, if we have a team with Harry Kane and Kylian Mbappe in, of course I'll go bald. no problem. No problem. And if it don't grow back, it don't grow back. I've got to make it. I mean, content's content, yeah? That'll be an all-timer in terms of a moment on United View. Owen shaved his head. Never grew back. Wow. You know, and actually KG's the one being negative because he's the one saying me, don't do it. Why not? I thought you meant to embrace it. Or I'll do what Kurt Angle did when he shaved his head. For a while, he picked up his hair and then he wore like an amateur wrestling headpiece, and it stuck on. Maybe I'll do that. I'll just wear a terrible sort of hairpiece for ages, and everyone will know. Everyone will go, I think think every day, every transfer view I show up with a different hairstyle. One day it's just, blonde. Next day, show up ginger afro. Like, what's going on with Owen? I don't know what you're talking about. It's my hair. Different styles. I style it differently every day. No problem. The problem is I can't grow facial hair though, so I will look like an egg. That will be the problem. And I have quite a round face, so it'll be sort of egg/moon, which will not be ideal. But like I said, if Harry Kane and Kylian Mbappe, I'll take it. Or I'll just, like KG, I'll have to get the KG condom hat on as well. Could you imagine? Oh, hats don't really fit my hair very well as well. Tabaslow says, I can agree on the salary for Rashford if all the bonuses go in, but not as a starting point. That's immensely stupid. This contract is Ollie-like inept. Big up Tabaslow. Tabaslow not happy with that contract. Am I all caught up when it comes to super chats? Did I miss any? I don't think I did. And finally, when it comes to the poll, can't talk. Nearly 700 votes, or over 700 votes rather. And the question was, is Marcus Rashford worth 375k a week? I haven't eaten today, that's why. I've been too busy. And the the response is no, 71%. What is Al5 says, Owen with a hat is like Anthony using his right foot. Yeah, just don't work. Just don't really work. I mean, you can try it, but it just doesn't really fit. I got a big head. One of those ones where at the back, when you've got all of those little things you can put in, mine's right at the end. I've got a deceivingly big head. And people will say, well, it explains it. Very arrogant, Owen. I'll be like, wow, head. More sort of physical, more than egotistical, But whatever. Whatever. Anyway, guys, I'm getting completely sidetracked. So that's the latest news and update when it comes to Marcus Rashford. According to Fabrizio Romano, he has agreed in principle, I guess, a new deal. So he's going to accept the proposal on the table. Once we get an update or pens put to paper, of course, we'll go live once again and give you the latest news when it comes to that. Same when it comes to takeover stuff. Today, very quiet with all of the takeover stuff as well. If we get any updates, of course, we'll be going live. So now's the best time to subscribe, really. If you haven't already, bottom right-hand corner, in addition to subscribing, like at the moment, I actually went down. I was going to say we can get to 142,860 because we were on 59. I was going to say we only need one more, but it went down. So we need 2 more to get to 860. So if you haven't already, subscribe and click the notification bell, so that you're notified every time we do go live or a new video gets uploaded or anything like that as well. So, and we will be live later on this evening with a bit of an update when it comes to David De Gea and anything else that happens throughout the day. So there you go, guys. I'm out of it. Have a good lunchtime and we'll speak for you again very soon. Peace.